Forgive everyone and everything to lighten your load and move on. And it also applies to circumstances. You need to learn how to shed the shame that you're feeling about where you are now. And so, what would your life look like if you started being fully you? Whose life could you touch? What situations could you impact? How could you make a change? Because again, where you are right now, it doesn't matter how you got there unless you keep perpetuating and making the same choices over and over again. Then you want to look at that. And yet, if you've made poor choices or you just were in a space that you worked with the knowledge that you had, what we know is when you know better, you do better. So you get some more information. And again, what story are you telling? Are you telling the story where you were the victim? Or are you telling the story that I saw what happened, I was in this situation, and I kept going? Welcome to Conversations with Roz Clark. I am Roz Clark, your dream doula, and I am super excited about this episode. This is one that you're going to want to save and come back to on a regular basis. So let's jump right in and get started. What I want to tell you is your freedom lifestyle starts here. Not I wish, I hope, someday, EIEIO. You're going to start right here. And in my rebirth framework, I am going to share one of the pillars, one of the most powerful things that you can do to move yourself forward, to change your life, to transform your relationships, and to get in a space that brings you joy and vibrancy and a sense of purpose. And it is all about release. So you want to release people, roles, and obligations that drain your happiness. Because how are you going to have joy when you've got energy vampires in your life just sucking the life out of you, just coming into the room and it just changes the energy. And what you have to do is realize that you can't change them. The only thing that you're going to change is your response to them. So, look, if you've been following me for a while and you haven't done it yet, make sure that you like, subscribe, and click the bell so that you get notified every time I drop new content. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I promise you, by the end of this, you're going to want to do the same. You're going to want to like, subscribe, click that bell so that we stay connected. So let's get into it. I'm going to give you 3 steps that can keep you moving forward in your journey to creating the life of your dreams, creating that freedom lifestyle that you are longing for, and quite frankly, that you deserve. So I'm going to give you some tools so that you stop holding on to a version of people that no longer exist. And to be honest, it probably never existed to start with, because so many times we are in relationship with our ideal or idea of people. We're in relationship with their potential as we see it. And so sometimes that blinds us to seeing who they really are. Like Maya Angelou says, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And yet we're not putting the blame or the responsibility outside of ourselves. When you get done, you will have the tools to take ownership and make affirming decisions so that you can set boundaries, that you can reevaluate the choices that you've made, and you can go forward with grace and clarity. So the first thing, and this is a toughie, but here we go. The first thing is to forgive. Forgive everyone and everything to lighten your load and move on. And I know, like, when soon as you start talking about forgiveness, people are like, but Roz, you don't know what they did, or you don't know what I've been through, or you don't know even the choices that I've made. And so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You get to release people. You release people to the outcomes of their choices. And then you release, yourself in grace and affirming. And we all have situations in our lives that are like, ooh, this is a yuck kind of feeling. Like, I hate this. And so you need to be okay with letting people become a part of your past. And my mother recently made her transition, and I cared for her in hospice in my home over a 5-week period. And it was the most beautiful and challenging experience of my life. And in doing that, though, we did some things together. She had some things that she decided to release and let go so that she was able to leave here lighter, and just leave people again to the outcomes of their choices. And for me, once the whole situation was over, I made the decision that there were some relationships that I was going to bury with her. So I let some things go. I let some people go. I made the decision to not carry it forward. And I didn't have to like make some grand announcement. I didn't have to bring any crazy energy to it. I just knew that those relationships needed to end. So again, no blame. There were things that I did not agree with, choices that people made, but people are entitled to their choices. And we are also entitled to the choice that says, you get to be whoever you want to be. And yet, who you are is not someone that I can be in relationship with. And what's so freeing about that is then you don't have to carry the energy of anger, the energy of resentment, even the energy of judgment. Like, we can say like, ooh, that was messy, or that was a hot mess, or that was wrong. And yet we don't have to take ownership or responsibility for proving it, for convincing anybody of it. You just let them go. And you center in your own peace. You center in your own choices. And then you have to be okay with the choices that you make. Like, you do not have to be in relationship with people forever. And that includes family. Most of us have been raised that, family is forever. Not when family is 50 shades of crazy. Why would you keep 50 shades of crazy forever? Like, that makes no sense. So don't let people put expectations on you. Don't live into something that no longer exists. So, like I said, sometimes we have this idea of who a person is. Or it was maybe they were one person at one time and they've made some choices throughout life, and now they're not the same person. And that's not, you don't have to judge them. You just have to let them go. So, what are you doing? What relationship can you think of right now that you don't need to keep fighting it? You don't need to keep proving something. You just need to take that step back and let it go. Think about how freeing that could be, how much ease that would bring in your life, how much peace you could find in making that choice. And the biggest thing is, though, you don't get to keep rehearsing it over and over and over and over again in your head, because you'll find, and I'm sure you've had this experience. Have you ever like had something happen with somebody and then you tell the story? And every time you tell the story, and then they did this, and you know what they said? I can't believe, like, you bring that energy to the story every time. And what you're doing is you're living that thing over again and again. And like, they've probably either moved on, they don't care, whatever it is. And yet you're stuck in this cycle of telling this story because in your mind, somebody has to be wrong. And this is the thing. Relationships can end, and it doesn't mean anybody was wrong. Now, a lot of times there are things that happen that are, just egregious or whatever. And yet, if you release the need to quantify, qualify, judge, and just say, we're complete. This relationship has come to an end, and I am complete. So instead of, well, I should have seen it sooner, or I should have known better, or whatever, people change. Our priorities change. And so finding that grace and that space to just let it go, just let it go. And it also applies to circumstances. You need to learn how to shed the shame that you're feeling about where you are now. So if you are somewhere right now where you don't want to be, like you've done all the things, you're feeling like I thought there would be more, I thought I would enjoy this more, whatever that is, instead of focusing on, well, what did I do wrong or what did I miss, or just kind of move into that space of what's next. What does next look like? Name your next instead of dwelling on how, you do the how did I get here just for a review, but not again playing that thing over and over. Well, how come nothing works for me? And how come people always betray me? And how come I don't get what I want? Like, none of those questions are going to serve you. So let's look at asking some better questions. How happy am I going to be when I make this next choice? How excited am I about the possibilities that lie ahead of me? How am I going to become the person that is going to live the life that I want to have? So I'm focusing more on who I'm becoming, where I'm going, what's happening, so that you put yourself in that place of momentum. You start experiencing that joy because joy is such an amazing energy. People talk about happiness and joy for some people are interchangeable, not necessarily for me. Because a lot of times happiness is predicated on, well, if A happens, then I'll be happy. If they do this, then I'll be happy. If they stop doing that, then I'll be happy. If I get this, then I'll be happy. Joy is a state of being. You can live in joy no matter what. Like the church folks say, I'm not going to let you steal my joy. That's like, my joy is mine. You don't get to impact my joy. So when you start again looking at that thing from a place of, oh, okay, I can do something differently. I can let this go. I can be who I want to be now. I can start living as if, and moving in that. Because again, where you are right now, it doesn't matter how you got there unless you keep perpetuating and making the same choices over and over again. Then you want to look at that. And yet, if you've made poor choices or you just were in a space that you worked with the knowledge that you had, what we know is when you know better, you do better. So you get some more information, you get some more input, you get some coaching, you get some support. And like for me, I work with, high performing women who are in situations now that they're like, I thought that this was going to be the pinnacle of my life and it feels empty. Like, how did I get there and get here and I'm feeling empty? And so what we do is we reframe that narrative. We celebrate everything that it took for them to create what they've created and move forward from, you have a wealth of knowledge. You have a wealth of knowledge of what you do want and a wealth of knowledge of what you don't want. And so again, you don't have to stay, grounded and grinding in that discomfort. Celebrate what works. As one of my favorite yogis, Yoga by Adrian, she says, take what works and leave the rest. So take what works. Celebrate what you've accomplished already, and then let the rest go. Or like the crazy stuff, let it be like, woo, got through that. Won't do that again. So that you have that opportunity to just keep moving forward. So like you've released, you start with I've forgiven. And then now I'm going to shed that shame. I'm going to shed the things that don't serve me. I'm going to shed those stories that no longer serve me. And, a lot of us have been to one or two class reunions. And we think about like the wild and crazy person from high school who's now like, a CPA, just like just straight and narrow or whatever, because we keep growing and evolving. So we don't need to allow people to keep us stuck in a story. And we don't want to keep ourselves stuck in a story. So think about, what was your identity in high school? Like, are you still that same person? And some of us are. Like for me, I was like the free spirit, the let's go, always had an idea, let's do this. So like that was really who I am and how I show up in the world. I've always been that doll. And what I will say though is it didn't always serve me. It didn't always serve me because for some people I felt like too much. Like even my mother, bless her spirit, she didn't know what to do with me. It was like, because my mother was just very pooled and very clear and very all of that. And it's like, what do I do with this free spirited child that I have? And we clashed. We clashed when I was younger. And yet we found our space and our place. And part of it was we had to, move in our own vibe and then be able to just appreciate one another, knowing that we were very different in many ways, and then celebrating finding out how similar we were. So, like I said, by the time she made her transition, she gave me the honor of trusting me with her life as it was ending. I got to serve her in my home on hospice. And she knew that she was safe and she knew that she could count on me. And part of that was because she knew who I was, even in my determination. Like she knew, like this girl, she's going to go 10 toes down for me. So I know I'm going to be okay. And so we were able to have that sweet and precious time. And of course, I've grown and evolved over the years. I'm not quite as wow, but I still got a little of that in me. And yet, that is what I'm saying. There's parts of us that we release, there's parts of us that we refine, and then there's parts of us that we celebrate. And all of those go into the equation of becoming the best and highest version of ourselves. So when you think about that life that you want to live, you think about that impact that you want to have, you think about those things that you are passionate about, and how do you move with the gifts and the knowledge that you have to creating that life that feels like, yes, this is what I was put on this planet for. This is who I was meant to be. And understand that the experiences that you've had, good, bad, or indifferent, inform who you are becoming, the unfolding of who you are. That is so important because, like, when we start out, it's checking the boxes. It's checking the boxes, whether it's, get the job, get the career, get the, I'm an entrepreneur, so I don't know all the words for for people who who work 9 to 5, but you get the promotion, whatever. And for entrepreneurs, it's, where you get the bag, but what you find out after a while is it's more than the bag. It's more than the money. Yes, the money matters because, money answereth many, many things. And so it's a lot easier to push a mission forward with the finances and resources that you need. And I think that that is what also keeps many people in those golden handcuffs. Like, I have made all this money. Like I can't like turn away from money and pursue my dream. And yet, what I will tell you, there's actually a scripture that says it too. Your gifts will make room for you. Your gift is your source. You just have to create a whole nother plan to move. And that's a conversation for another time. Right now, I just want you to get into that space of moving in the direction of your dreams, being able to live life in a way that feels affirming for you, that doesn't feel like a weight, that allows you to feel free. When I talk about a freedom lifestyle, it is the lifestyle to show up fully and authentically as yourself. No edits. And that doesn't mean like you just go and cuss everybody out. That's not what I mean. I mean that you know who you are. You know what your gift is. You know what's important to you. And what I can tell you is what is important to you is needed in the world, especially right now. There is so much going on. People are feeling so overwhelmed and afraid and angry and all the things. And it's going to take us living authentically. It's going to take us showing up with grace and generosity and kindness, and love. Like love. People are like, oh, that love stuff is woo woo. No, no. We were created by love. I say all the time that we were created by a divine creator to be creative. So those ideas that you have, that thing that's stirring up in your soul, that is the thing. That is the essence of your being. And I can tell you, you can have both. You just have to get to a place that you get that clarity. You release and let go of some of that weight, you know, and then you lean into and love into the best and highest version of yourself. You show up as that, and doors will open. Opportunities will present themselves. People will show up in your DMs asking, how can I work with you? Or I believe in what you're working on and I want to be a part of it and I want to support it. Like that is the magic of this beautiful life. And like I said, having watched my mother transition, having lived for 90 years, and the thing that everybody said about her was she was such an elegant woman. Like she had a brand before there was such a thing as a brand. People knew her for her elegance. They knew her for her strength. They knew her for her fortitude, and she just was being her. And so, what would your life look like if you started being fully you? Whose life could you touch? What situations could you impact? How could you make a change?
After me, you're first. Yes, after me, you're first. Do you want to just say that out loud sometime? Like you have been there for everyone else. You have checked all the boxes. You have done everything by the rules. You have played the game according to the rules. And yet now you're in that space that says, is this all there is? There's got to be more. And here's the good news there absolutely is more. There is more joy, vibrancy, and purpose available to you. And you just have to stake your claim and say that very thing. It's my turn now. And I created the Awaken Your Dream virtual retreat to help you do just that, to reclaim your dream, to reclaim your voice, to create the impact about the things that matter most to you. You've done all the right things, and now it's time to do right by you. This is your chance to step up, to move forward, to embrace those things that you are so passionate about. And to be honest, the thing that the world needs most from you and for you right now. It's okay to do what matters most to you. It's okay to make sure that you're okay. So join me for the Reclaim Your Dream virtual retreat. It is the reset that your soul has been longing for. Together, we will map out your next. We will name your next and map out your next. So click the link to get more information, and I look forward to seeing you and serving you. Be well. Peace.
And so, what would your life look like if you started being fully you? Whose life could you touch? What situations could you impact? How could you make a change? And sometimes there are some of us that are going to change things in a big way. And yet every change happens one relationship at a time, one conversation at a time, one piece of content at a time. And so my grandmother used to say that charity begins at home and spreads abroad. So there may just be one person that needs your voice, one person that needs to hear what you have to say, one person that needs you to tell them that they're okay. And so living that part of your life, being true to who you are, that just makes all the difference. And like I said, it is so, so needed right now. So we've got forgive and then shed. And the last thing is own. Own your part. Own your part and then release what you have no control over. And that's where, again, the magic is. That's where the balance is, because it all comes down to the story that you tell yourself. We all have stories. And surprisingly, so many people have stories where, they're not worthy or they did everything wrong or whatever. Like that has never been my problem. Like when I work with my coaches and everything, I can save them some time. It's like self-confidence, self-esteem, that is not my issue. So, help me see where my blind spots are and we can work from there. So again, knowing who you are and being joyful about that, owning it, rejoicing in the gifts and greatness that you have, like unapologetically. And so when we start reframing this story, because you have people, and I mean, and we've all had things happen to us. Don't get me wrong. We've all made mistakes. We've all had, some level of trauma or calamity in our life. And it all comes back down to who do we choose to be in that moment? Who do we choose to be in that circumstance? And again, what story are you telling? Are you telling the story where you were the victim? Or are you telling the story that I saw what happened, I was in this situation, and I kept going until I got out? I kept going until I got better. I kept going until I got stronger. I kept going until I figured that shit out. Like that part. Like I just kept going until I figured it out. And when we put our energy in that direction, instead of, like I said before, looking for somebody to be wrong, looking for somebody to blame. Because what I recently told somebody who was like blaming somebody else for a situation, and I was like, look, we get the version of people that we deserve. So there's sometimes, and this is not blaming ourselves, this is a different kind of ownership that says, how do I keep showing up in a situation that I keep getting this same outcome and I don't like this outcome? So, how can I change that situation? So, for me, like I said, self esteem was never an issue. And yet, I was overdeveloped in the area of being a rescuer. I was a rescuer and a fixer. So like confidence can work against you too, because like, oh, I can fix this. Oh, let me rescue them. Let me help them. And there's imbalance in that. And it sets you up for disappointment. It sets you up for fatigue. It sets you up for burnout. And so when I got clear on that blind spot of mine, I reframed it. And so I don't help everybody. I work with people who are willing and ready to make that next right step, who are willing to create the life of their dreams, who are willing to do the work to move forward, to have the freedom lifestyle that they get to show up fully and authentically as themselves. So I'm not trying to cajole people, convince people, none of that. So that was a big lesson that I had to learn. And I got the support that I needed to learn it. And, I got whipped a couple times, like, God dang, I did it again. you know? And so learning from that process. And so now, like I said, I can release people to the outcomes of their choices. I don't have to be attached to the anger. I don't have to be attached to the resentment because I chose that relationship and then I chose to move on. And I'm okay with both choices. I can own both choices. So think about a story that you have told yourself over and over again where it was them. It was them that did it to you. And just take a moment and see how you could reframe that story. Even if you just start with I allowed, like if you don't want to take full ownership yet, I allowed this to happen because I chose to. So, you know what? Write that down and journal on that, over and over again. I allowed that to happen because I chose to. So name the that and name the choice, and then rewrite it and reframe it so you can say, going forward, I choose to, and then change the trajectory and change the energy. So that is what will change your life. That you do get to, make those choices that say, there is more. I want more. And I'm okay with wanting more. I'm not going to feel guilty about wanting more. I'm not going to feel guilty about doing something different. I'm not going to feel guilty about releasing that which releasing that which no longer serves me. I'm going to move forward in the unfolding and the becoming. I'm going to become the person that lives the life that I want. I'm going to do the work to become that person. And if you want something to help get you started, just to get those wheels turning, I have a 12-step transformation workbook. It's yours free. The link is in the show notes. So download that workbook and start doing the work. Start answering those questions. Start reframing those stories. And I promise you, it will get your juices flowing. It'll put you in another state of mind so that you can begin to think about things differently, look at things differently, experience things differently, and start transforming, making those choices and that transformation that is going to get you from where you are to where you want to be. So start with that. And you know what? Leave a comment below and let me know what's the one thing that you want to start working on today. So name it, name your next, download the workbook, and get started. And, keep talking to me. I love hearing from you. I love hearing your comments. I love answering your questions. So if you have any questions, after this episode, leave them down there. If there's another thing that you want to hear me talk about, like if you're like, well, I need some help in this area, put it in the comments. And who knows, I may build a whole show around your question or a whole show around what you're interested in learning so that you can begin to name your next, to move into creating that life that's filled with joy and vibrancy and purpose. So stay connected. Like I said earlier, make sure that you like this video, leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. Like, let's do this thing together, because I have made the commitment to help 100 women who I know are going to change the world. I want to help you get to that point, help you get to that space, help you move into that gift and greatness that you have. And so we'll celebrate where you've been, we'll celebrate what you've accomplished, we'll release what no longer serves you, and move into that next great iteration of you. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you stayed this long, hey, you are a soldier. I'm grateful for you. I'm happy to have you in my community and in my tribe. And just keep hollering at me. And in the meantime, just remember to continue to think big and dream even bigger. I'll see you soon. Be well. Peace.